Poor project execution costs the US economy hundreds of billions of dollars, even trillions of dollars every year, primarily through things like wasted time, misallocated resources, burnout, and failed execution. And Canada is no better. In fact, on a per capita basis, it's even worse, between 120 and $160 billion annually, all due to inefficient project execution. And these aren't theoretical numbers. In fact, project waste is one of the most well documented and most researched inefficiencies in the corporate world. And it shows up in nearly every organization, and it maps directly to lost time, money, and energy, that is, resource energy. In this video, we're going to explore 6 of the top cost drivers in project execution. The first one is lack of clarity at the start. And this is the number one cost driver of project waste. And this is what it looks like in the real world. Things like vague goals, undefined success criteria, and no clear scope boundaries. Okay? Many project people have heard of the term project scope creep, where the project scope just continues to grow and expand as the project evolves. That is a killer for project cost waste. What it costs the industry is massive rework, misaligned effort, not everybody aiming at the same North Star, and constant course corrections throughout the life cycle of the project. The reality is that most projects don't fail at the end. They fail at the beginning, slowly. The second one is poor alignment across stakeholders. This cost driver, what it looks like in the real world, is different interpretations of the same plan, hidden assumptions, and leadership not all actually being aligned. And what it costs is things like conflicting decisions, political friction, and delays, pivots, and reversals, things that need to be done over again. And this is where time disappears. Literally, time disappears, but quietly. The third one is no clear ownership or accountability. What that looks like in the real world is shared responsibility, which actually means no responsibility. You can't have tasks or deliverables that are shared between people. Okay? You have to designate a person who is responsible for a particular task or milestone or outcome. The second one is tasks floating between people or decisions not being owned. People need to be given the authority to own decisions. And so what this costs companies includes things like bottlenecks, where the project hits a bottleneck, missed deadlines, or decision paralysis, where you just can't seem to get past something. And so in reality, work doesn't stall because people are lazy. It stalls because ownership is unclear. The fourth one is cost breakdown between planning and execution. And what that looks like is good plans that never translate into action, or strategy decks that actually don't become operational reality, or no daily or weekly execution rhythm. Okay? Projects need a rhythm or a cadence. They need to be able to see progress on a regular basis, and that's a project execution rhythm. And so what this costs companies includes things like initiatives that start strong but fade, or they lose momentum, or the project actually never ever becomes completed. And this is one of the biggest gaps in organizations. The fifth one is ineffective communication and meeting culture. Okay? What that looks like is too many meetings, few decisions or too few decisions, and information not flowing to the right people. And so in reality, there's only 3 types of meetings. There's the meeting where we're actually going to be making a decision. There's a meeting to inform, so we're not necessarily deciding on anything, but we're informing people. And then the third type of meeting is we're not making any decisions and we're not informing people. we're creating. Okay, this is the ideation type of meeting where you're trying to create something, but no formal decisions or actions are being taken. What this costs companies is oftentimes 20 to 30% of all time wasted. Too many meetings, too many people sitting in meetings, repeated conversations, and misunderstandings. Okay? In reality, teams feel busy, but nothing is actually moving forward. And then the sixth cost sink in project execution is constant context switching and priority overload. And what that looks like in the real world is too many active projects. People working on 5 or 10 things all at the same time, and priorities consistently or constantly shifting. And trust me, I've experienced that. You can't have priorities that are in constant motion. You have to decide what your priorities are so that the people can stay focused on what's important. And how that costs companies money, it includes things like reduced cognitive efficiency. My mind is going in too many different directions because we've got too much going on. Slower completion of projects and higher error rates. This is where energy gets destroyed, not just time. People begin to burn out because people are being focused on too many different things with no defined priority. And so, what is the overall insight here? None of these problems or cost wastes are because of talent problems. The people within your organization are qualified to do their job, so it can't be a talent issue. It's also not an effort issue. Generally speaking, it's not an effort issue because people come to work, they want to achieve, they want to apply themselves. They want to apply their efforts in a way that moves things forward. And it's generally not an intelligence problem because the people that you've hired, they have the intelligence and the capability and typically the capacity to do the work. The problem here is a system problem. And so if this is showing up in your world, it's not a people problem, it's an execution system problem. Now, at Debonair Edge, we enable leaders and organizations to execute projects with a very practical and efficient system. We have tools that are entirely online, and we have services that are in person and on site. If you'd like to talk about how we can help you, book a call. There's no cost, and the link is in the description.